imagine a single-player RPG set around Kalimdor and the Eastern Kingdoms, a real single-player adventure of Warcraft Witcher, or Warcraft 4 but as a completely new legit game, not just a cheap revamp that was Warcraft 3 Reforged. Well, recently we got some really strong hints that Blizzard has something planned outside of just World of Warcraft for this year's Blizzcon for the Warcraft franchise. We not only have confirmations that Chris Metzen is working on the Warcraft universe, not just WoW, but also the CEO of Blizzard saying that WoW and Warcraft are getting the most amount of news this year, promising really big announcements. Additionally, there's a leak going around that an expansion is in the works for Classic, which is why they brought Chris Metzen, the guy that created the universe, with playable ogres, high elves, sort of an alternate universe where TBC never happened and Classic branched out into different storylines. Literally, WoW 2 as a lot of people requested. How legit are these claims, and are we going to be seeing a new expansion for Classic or a brand new Warcraft game announced on this year's BlizzCon? As all of you guys are gamers, you're also almost certainly into gadgets, and that is exactly why I'm excited to talk about this video sponsor, Gadget Discovery Club. They have sent me 2 of these boxes and they're just so much better than I could expect it. I got this wireless blender, which is super useful. You just charge it up, you can make a shake whenever. Super easy to clean up as well. They have additionally sent me these amazing wireless earbuds amongst a whole bunch of other things. Now, what is this club? You get quarterly themed boxes with up to 4 gadgets inside. Best thing about it, it is not just random cheap things. You will always get something you need, and it's always gonna be worth at least $125. You can pay annually, you can pay quarterly, and best of all, this is the perfect gift, especially for the upcoming holiday season, and especially for someone that is into gadgets or tech. So it's never been a better time to join the club. Click my link in the description and use the discount code Doronsmovies and you will get $20 off your order. So check out my link in the description below. Potentially, we have some of the most interesting news for the Warcraft franchise after a really long while. Not just some alleged leaks from a forum, but a few tweets from the top guys at Blizzard that strongly hint that something is definitely going on behind the scenes that we don't know currently about. So, the first major hint that you have definitely heard by this point from a million sources is that Chris Metzen is returning as the executive creative director of the Warcraft universe, and this might be one of the best news we had gotten in years, as keep in mind, this is the guy that created the Warcraft we all fell in love with and started playing, and he is personally behind many of the most iconic moments of the entire franchise. Now, let's not go too overboard, say that he's completely perfect. He has been behind some storylines that were not that amazing, but overall his contribution has been incredibly positive, and this might be the best signal that Blizzard is returning to their roots, as this is the guy that literally created the Warcraft roots. So, the information about the new possible Warcraft game comes not just from his tweet, but also the official Warcraft tweet and also from the Blizzard CEO, all in the span of a few weeks, as they're obviously building up the hype for BlizzCon. They might even be leaking some things on purpose. So let's delve into it. Let's read a little bit between the lines, because there is definitely something going on here. First of all, the official page, the official World of Warcraft page, announced the return of Chris Metzen, but the way this was worded is really suspicious. They say, "We are excited to share that Chris Metzen has taken on a full-time role as executive game director of the Warcraft universe." Keep this little bit in mind, they didn't just say World of Warcraft, they said the Warcraft universe, as in more things other than just WoW. In the next line, they said right now his main focus is supporting our World of Warcraft leadership in crafting a new generation of adventures. This line too is also foretelling the next generation of adventures, almost certainly the next WoW expansion or expansions they have planned, and it could also refer to that leaked Classic Plus expansion. However, the biggest thing they said here is right now his main focus is on WoW, which means that after that it won't be the main focus and he will work on something else Warcraft related. Let's be real, I mean, if he was just the lead guy for WoW, they would have said Chris Metzen has returned to support the World of Warcraft leadership. This is obviously a hint that something is going on behind the scenes. Then Chris Metzen himself subtweets to this and says, "The stories we're developing right now, how the world unfolds over the next few years, I can't wait for you all to see where we are headed." Once again, super suspicious. He didn't say World of Warcraft, he said the world, as in the Warcraft franchise. He also said the next few years. The last line is hinting that there will be much bigger amount of news than just the next expansion will be announced, and that they have something more planned for World of Warcraft, like the Warcraft world in general. Now, you may be thinking I'm just grasping at straws here, and you are kinda right. I mean, this isn't enough info to make an entire video. However, the reason I decided to make this is the tweet we got from the Blizzard CEO just a little bit later that just kinda doubled down on this sentiment, and it makes it really seem like there is something behind this. So, someone complained to him about the Blizzcon floor plan, how the entire WoW section seems to be completely irrelevant and overshadowed by Overwatch and Diablo 4, and the CEO himself responded to this with something really interesting. He said, "It is just the way the team did a graphic, but that is not the case at all. WoW and Warcraft will have the most news this year. We're excited to see you all." Keep in mind, he purposefully split up the wording between Warcraft and WoW, which to me just kinda doubled down on the previous official tweet. Now, immediately, you may be thinking this is just the wording for Hearthstone and the new mobile game Warcraft Rumble, which technically is under the Warcraft franchise. However, I do feel like Hearthstone would have been talked about separately. It is even labeled on that graphic that he's referring to as Hearthstone, not Warcraft Hearthstone. If it was Hearthstone, he would have probably just said WoW and Hearthstone. The only realistic counter argument to this is the Warcraft Rumble, which, let's be real, I mean, no one is really foaming at their mouth to see. I mean, sure, it is a cool little fun mobile game, but no one is waiting to just get their mind blown with this new announcement, and no one is paying the ticket and the costs and everything to travel to Blizzcon to learn about this new Warcraft mobile game. Additionally, this game is also not exactly Warcraft. It uses the Warcraft aesthetic, but it is not exactly something you would need Chris Metzen over and the story development of the entire Warcraft universe. It's not really advertised as a new milestone in Warcraft storytelling. So on to the fun part that brings us to a few possibly incredibly interesting revelations. One is a leak that has been going around since about a week ago about an actual World of Warcraft Classic expansion, which could be huge, and another one is a brand new Warcraft game, either an RPG or Warcraft 4, the new RTS. Keep in mind, we're like 3 weeks before BlizzCon at this point here, which is actually the territory where actual leaks could start becoming legit. There could be real leaks. So the really juicy leak that has been going around is that Blizzard is working on a new Classic expansion, which could be a game changer and something unlike anything we had ever seen. The really quick recap is this. It is an alternate universe where TBC never came. Chris Metzen is the main guy. It will reuse assets from BC and VAT to maintain the Classic visuals. The level cap is 70 and Hyjal and Emerald Dream become new zones, but most of the development will continue to be on the 2 core continents. Most interestingly, High Elves and Ogres become brand new races, and the various vanilla questlines continue that were started by TBC because, as you may know, most of them were really left open-ended at the end of Classic. I know, sounds a little bit ridiculous, but this might actually be really intelligent when you really think about it. First of all, Classic is definitely popular and he's done a great job in keeping quite a bit of the player base. However, turning it into a bit more than just a time travel thing would be an amazing selling point. Eventually, Classic as Classic will just get boring because nothing new is going to happen in like a decade. Blizzard has already experimented with this by adding the hardcore version super recently. Furthermore, it will be an amazing way to actually bring back old Warcraft that everyone has been talking about. Not just letting us play through the same content, but continuing on with a new spin. It will be sort of unprecedented. What if we didn't go to TBC but something else happened? This could really turn it into a parallel game, and let's be real, back in the day, this original storyline was way more popular than what is currently going on in retail. It could also be a great way to untangle some of the lore messes created by the Shadowlands and a few other expansions, because there aren't so many crazy things going around with the story in Classic. This also perfectly aligns with the return of Chris Metzen. I mean, this is the brain behind WoW Classic, and let's be real, if they were to do it, I mean, Chris Metzen would be like the person to pick for the job. Additionally, High Elves and playable Ogres make a ton of sense because technically, in Classic, they have actually been a part of the Horde Alliance, so it would be super easy to implement them. Overall, this would be a great idea because, think about it, from a marketing perspective, Blizzard is remaking World of Warcraft. This could literally be the WoW 2 people have been talking about. However, other than this, the potential leak, we also have the possibility of a brand new game being announced, which could even be more interesting and even makes more sense as they did talk about WoW and Warcraft separately. So realistically, I could see 2 options. One could be a single-player RPG akin to The Witcher, for example, and the other would be the much requested Warcraft 4 RTS, which I think would be a little bit more likely. I mean, let's be real, a single-player Warcraft game has been requested for a really long time, and I think for the story, that would work really well because Warcraft storyline always suffered from this MMO element, which developed a lot of inconsistencies. So this would be an excellent way to reignite the Warcraft as a franchise and to develop something brand new to tell the story on a different platform. It could be separate from what is currently going on in retail and could be exploring some of the most interesting storylines, like an RPG being set around the foundation of Orgrimmar and Terramore, where you could see the beginnings of the new Horde and the Alliance like pre-WoW Classic. The only downside to this is that I'm not sure Blizzard would be able to pull this off, as it would be a massive project and they have never actually done a game as big as this. Single player RPGs would take so much more time to develop. They would have to build the entire world and everything, and it would take a really long time. On the other hand, a Warcraft 4 RTS seems a lot more likely, and I think this would be the best way to actually go forward. After all, Warcraft started as an RTS series. Now, I am aware that RTS games are not exactly the most popular crazy thing in today's climate. It isn't the same time as the 90s or the early 2000s, but nonetheless, Warcraft as an RTS is iconic as is, and I think it could actually do a lot just by itself. This could be an ideal way for Blizzard to redeem themselves for the blunder that was Warcraft 3 Reforged. I mean, Warcraft 3 Reforged flopped, but that's not because people were not interested in the RTS game. It is pretty much solely because of its actual delivery. I mean, if Reforged was legit a new game, not just a reskin with super clunky cinematics, I honestly think it would have fared so much better. So imagine if Warcraft 4 happened, but as a fully fledged legit game that builds on a new storyline, new models, new mechanics, but with the same Warcraft 3 feel. Honestly, I think it would be amazing. Furthermore, it could also be a compilation of recreated Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2, which is literally the root for the entire franchise, and I think that could turn out really great as well, as long as it is not Reforged 2.0. Now, based on the tweets and the hints, something is definitely going to be announced on this year's Blizzcon other than just a new expansion. I really only hope they're not building all this unreasonable hype for the new Warcraft Rumble mobile game. Don't forget to check out the Gadget Discovery Club with my link in the description below. Thank you for watching. Check out all the insane 11.0 leaks by clicking on the screen, and also check out my video on Slavic pirates and Vikings by also clicking on the screen as well. See you next time!